Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, we've got a very special guest. He is an Olympic champion, a four-time long course world champion, three-time short course world champion. He was the first man under a minute and 30 seconds in the 200-yard freestyle, Blake Pieroni.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm super excited to get you on the podcast today. I'm excited to nerd out with you. You've been in the swimming game forever. I remember one of our writers used to be I'm getting it mixed up now. One of the Carroll brothers. Which one of
Oh yeah, Trevor.
Did
Trevor
you race
Carroll.
against Trevor?
Yeah, we raced. Actually, I think he was 1 year older than me. So we raced 3 years at Indiana High School State together, and he was
Okay.
really good. And Indiana High School State's like a huge deal in Indiana, at least.
That's
Like,
right.
It's like the biggest meet. It's like junior nationals or nationals, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
high
So
school. Yeah.
so Tony, his older brother, raced for us. Trevor raced against you all the time. So that's where I first heard about you. Tell me about Indiana State, because it's like you said, it seems like a really big deal in the state of Indiana.
Yeah. It's hard to explain it to someone that's not from Indiana or has never been to the meet. But I mean, the Indianapolis Natatorium, right? You've been there a million times. It's almost fully packed for a high school state meet, and it's electric. I mean, just like Division I NCAAs. I remember, in Minnesota, it was loud, but it's just as loud for a high school meet. At high school state, it's something else. I really enjoyed it. I think it actually helped a lot moving into meets like junior nationals and senior nationals and other meets like that. I remember being so nervous my freshman year, and I got second and 2 free as a freshman.
Wow. Yeah. So I was going to ask about that. What town are you from? What was your high school like? Were you guys one of the big players, or were you kind of on the smaller end?
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
we were good. So I swam for Chesterton, and I wouldn't say we've always been known, but at least in the last 20 years, we've been considered like a better school in Indiana for swimming. We've had some people like Kyle Whitaker, if that name it rings a bell to you. Yeah, Aaron Whitaker's younger brother and me and some other people that have gone through. So yeah, we were definitely known as a good swimming school, but we weren't. We had won state a few times. I think we had won state twice before I got there, and then we won state twice while I was there. My junior and senior year, we both won high school state.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you get there as a freshman, you end up second in the 200 free, it seems like a huge accomplishment, but yeah, tell me about that season. And especially when you got to state, and I'm guessing you'd never been to a meet like that before.
Yeah, I was so nervous, and I don't know, I was like a deer in the headlights for everything. But I swam really well. I think I still remember my time. It was like 140.2, and that got second back then. I don't know what that would get now, probably like 10th or something, but it was like a great swim for me at the time, and everyone was like super pumped, and I was like, all right, I did something good, I guess. I was like, no idea what was going on. But you actually, each year after that, I looked forward to it more, I would say. I like really got excited for it. Like the first year I was nervous and I was like, I don't know what to expect. But then I actually won my first high school state title my sophomore year.
Okay. In the 200 free?
Yeah, in the 2 free. And I think Trevor beat me in the 100 if I can. It's been a while. I can't exactly remember, but I think he beat me in one of them. I can't remember which one it was.
Okay. You said I got second in the 200 free, and like my mind's like, oh, it probably went like 135 or something, because you go over 10 seconds faster than that now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so wild to, I mean, 140, that's a fast time, but
yeah, that's like freshman year of high school. Like 15.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was just, it's crazy how much that event has grown, but also, 140 for 15-year-old, like you said, that's really solid.
Yeah.
What you won that meet your junior senior year. Take me through some of the best memories of those 2 years for you.
Um, the best memories, well, the two that stick out that were really repetitive is like every day in practice, talking about the relays and talking about how like, I mean, we were like in a point where we were like kind of cocky that we were like, we're gonna win high school state, like our junior senior year, like we're gonna win, So we would like say it all the time in practice, and it was just like fun, like joking around with that in
Yeah.
practice with the other guys. And talking about the relays, like we wanted to break 3 minutes in the 400 foot relay for like 2 years. We had
Okay.
like splits that certain people needed to go, and that was a big deal. And we did it. We did it in prelims of the meet because like the way that the points worked out, our coach didn't like wanted us to like kind of swim slow and like still because we could swim moderate and still win the relay as long as we didn't DQ, we were going to win.
Yeah.
So it was more just like swim it to win the meet rather than to go like as fast a time as possible. So we went like 2:59.7 or something like that in the 400 free relay. And it's kind of funny because like I remember IU, I'm not sure on the hundreds, but like IU went the same time that we went in the 400 free relay in their 4 medley relay at NC's last year. They went like 2:59.7 or something, and I was like, we went like 2:59.7 in the 4 free when we were in high school.
That is pretty awesome. Do you remember what you split on that relay?
I think it was like 43.3 leading off.
Okay,
Yeah,
jeez, that's
yeah, it was a pretty good time
stout.
for me.
Did you in high school, especially I guess at that meet, did you progress every year? Or did you feel yourself like, oh, I'm definitely better than where I was last year? Was that always a good benchmark for you to
Yeah,
track your
definitely.
progress?
Honestly, almost all of my high school and college career, I would say like I would get to the meet and I'd be like, okay, I know I'm better than I was last year. I just don't know how much time I'm going to drop, So
Mhm.
I just like could see it in the mid-season meets that I was doing. I was like obviously faster than I was last year, and whatever it was, I just felt better. But my um, times kind of progressed pretty like linearly, I would say, throughout my high school career. I actually didn't get to swim the 200 free at high school state my junior and senior year. I swam the 2 IM because
Wow.
because high school state's all about trying to score the most points possible for your team.
Mhm.
And we had a guy that could swim the 2 free, and I think he got second both years in the 2 free, and I won the 2 IM. Yeah, even though I
That's
like never trained IM, just like college, never trained IM, but I had to swim at Big Tens all the time.
do you like the 200 IM?
It's okay. It's not my favorite. I really don't like backstroke. I like all the other strokes. I have to work so hard and still go so slow on backstroke that I hate it. And I don't kick out very well. So me and that stroke have beef.
Yeah, I'm with you. Backstroke's my least favorite stroke. No offense to anyone, but I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, was that obviously you were doing it for the team? Personally, were you a little salty? Did
No,
you
no, I
wish you
definitely
could have
was.
swum the two
I
or
definitely
free?
was at the time because I was like, a big deal is like the Indiana high school state records. And at the time, I think going into my senior year, I think my best time was already faster than the state record. Um, and my coach was like, "You're gonna have to swim the 2 IM. We have another guy. We'll score more points if you win the IM, and like Ethan wins the 2 free." Because there was another meet like 2 weeks after called Senior State, which is like the meet that you go to where you can swim a bunch of different events if you want. And I ended up going like 135 at that. So I dropped time. So I did get a chance to swim the 2 free like later. It just wasn't at state.
Mhm. Did did you ever work out the point differential to where it was like we won by so much I could have
Yeah,
swam the
I
200
think we
free?
won by like 40 points. I'm not sure, but it was like 37 or 40, something like that. I was a bit salty at the time.
But you guys ended up winning, so I guess it's so. One thing you mentioned, your times progress fairly linearly, which is certainly not always the case for a lot of swimmers. And I think most swimmers kind of feel like they do progress linearly throughout their career. I've gotten better each year, but the times don't always necessarily show that. Is there any certain thing or things that you kind of attribute to you being able to put up those times and progress in a linear fashion for so long?
I'm not. It's hard for me to give this kind of advice to like such a general group of people, but like what I do is to like I like to see that, okay, this time that I swam in season is faster than the time that I swam in the season, like last season, the season before that, the season before that. So like mentally that, even if it's not necessarily true, I tell myself I'm better than last year. I went a faster time that I did here last year, So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of a big deal. Like I'm convincing myself that I'm already better than last year because of the data that I'm getting throughout the season, whether I can hold faster times in a certain set or go a faster time in a midseason meet or some kind of race. I would say that helps me convince myself that I'm better. And I think that is half the battle. Just like getting up on the block and being like, okay, I'm going to go best time. I know I'm better. Just, I don't know what I'm going to go.
Like you said, mentally, swimming's a huge mental sport, I think. And if you convince yourself, hey, I'm better, then it's probably going to work out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
So after high school, you end up at Indiana. What give me the quick rundown of what brought you to IU?
Um, it wasn't necessarily one thing, but I just went on all my, I went on like 4 recruiting trips, and I just liked the whole experience at IU's a lot more than the other ones. And it wasn't like necessarily one thing. And the funny thing is I wasn't even planning on going to a trip to IU because I kind of wanted to leave the state of Indiana and get maybe West Coast or somewhere else. And my parents were like, oh, it's just like a 3-hour drive. Why don't you just go down and take a trip? I just drove down by myself. And like, when I got back, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to IU. And they were like, you don't even want to take a trip. And I was like, I know, but I'm going to go to IU.
And so again, it seems like at IU there was a pretty linear progression for you as well. Why do you feel like you were able to transfer that success you had in high school and just keep it on going at Indiana so well?
I'm not exactly sure. Actually, that reminds me of something funny. So like my best time in the 2 free was like 135 coming into college. And my freshman year midseason was winter nationals in Greensboro. And I swam the 2 free, and guess who was in it? Nathan. And Nathan went like 132 something, and I went the best time. I went like 134, and I was like, oh my gosh, Nathan just went 132. I think we were in the same heat. We might have been next to each other. I'm not sure, but I was like, that is so fast. I can't believe he just went that time. I just remember that memory like so vividly, and I was like, I just went the best time. Yeah, so back to your question. I don't really know. I just think like each season I was like, okay, my numbers in the weight room are getting better. My times in these kind of like standardized sets that we'll do every year are getting better, whatever they are, like 30, 50s, 200 pace or whatever. Like I can hold like a faster average throughout these 30, or I want to, and I'm always trying to, but that's like my benchmark. I don't want to, go any slower than I did a couple of months ago or something like that. I mean, it's not always going to be like that, I think one of the things that helped me a lot is the focus on efficiency at IU, because I didn't really do a whole lot of stroke efficiency in high school. And I think that's a huge key in the 200 free, especially. I mean, if you can flip at the 100, moving fast, but it not tax your body like a ton, just not be like dead at the 100 is key. At least for me, it was. And I remember watching Dean's 2 free last year in 19 at NC's, and he's taken like 7 strokes most of the lap, and it's like one of the most perfect swims I've seen.
Yeah. So were there specific things you guys did at IU to work on that?
We would do just like 50s and 100s of where we have to take a certain amount of strokes, and you also have to match a certain time. It didn't necessarily have to be fast, but we'd do like 50s. If like 50s long course, we'd have like, you're only allowed like 3 or 4 kicks off the wall, 28 strokes, and it has to be like 29 seconds. That's just an example. It could be 28, whatever. But that kind of stuff, not being able to just fully crank over your arms and still be expected to go fast helps. I don't really know what changes in your stroke. Maybe it makes you like pull a little harder with each stroke, but I think that has been really helpful for me.
Yeah. So you get 2 years into IU, 2016 Olympic trials come up. What were your goals heading into that meet?
Well, my really only goal was to try and make the team in the 2 free. And I was like, if you were to ask anyone, like, if I was going to make the team, what event would it be in? They would have said the 200 free.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like an okay prelim swim in the 2 free, and I had like a horrible semifinal swim. I just let my heart rate get like super out of control. I let like everything, it was too much hype. I dove in and I felt like should have been on the third 50 of, the third length of the 200 freestyle. And it was a horrible swim. And I didn't make the final. And then, the only event that I had another even possible chance at was the 100 free. And my best time going into Olympic trials was 49.6, I believe. And in prelims, I went 49.3 and made the semi. And then in the semi, I went 49.0 and made the final. And then in the final, I went 48.7 and got sixth. And so it was just like a perfect 3 swims in a row, just that like linear drop each time. And I definitely know at least why the last time I was able to go faster is because I was next to Tony. Tony flipped in like 22.1 or something, 22.3.
Yeah. So you just ride the wave.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, after that 200 free, I'm guessing that's fairly disheartening to be like, okay, my best shot, and it didn't work out. I mean, what are you telling yourself after that swim to going into the 100 freestyle?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I gave myself a little bit of time to be mad at myself for that race. Like, I feel like everyone's like, okay, don't think about it. It's over, it's done with, whatever. But you kind of need to be like set. I mean, say like 6 hours or like 8 hours to be mad about that swim. Next time you come to the pool, then it's truly over. Then we're going to like focus on something else. And the stuff that I was telling myself is like, well, that was not what I wanted to, but I don't want to waste. That was the first Olympic trials I'd ever been to. I don't want to waste the rest of my Olympic trials experience just like having a bad attitude, having a bad mindset, and just ruining another swim. Going to the 100 free with a super terrible mindset, just be like, oh, probably going to add a second. It's like, of course you're going to do bad. So it was really just like slowly kind of talking myself into it. Like, I don't want to have a bad experience here, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And so then you make the Olympic team, you go to the Olympics. What was your Olympic experience like there?
It wasn't, honestly, like, I don't even remember the swim. I mean, it was like an okay, so like premium swim. I swam like once, and I'm pretty sure it was like the first day. So it was more just like I was in the stands and like hanging out and, going through all the stuff. And I remember Michael introducing himself to me in the elevator when we were going to get our like fitted for all of our clothes and stuff. And he was like, hey, nice, you made the team. Like, I'm Michael. And I was like, yeah, I know who you are. So, but that was just really cool for me at the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What was the training camp like even before, just being in the presence of the 2016 Olympic team and knowing that you're a part of it?
Yeah, it was great. It's not, I mean, it is a training camp, but and there are like hard things happening, but it's just really fun finally being able to like be around all of your friends. And like, because I had raced Ryan and Caleb and Townley and everyone, and like, it's just fun, like hanging out, like, hey, we're all going to the Olympics together, and I remember doing like 50s at pace with Caleb, Ryan, and it was me and maybe some other people, but it got like super competitive. And like, I'm sure you've seen the photo of Ryan and Caleb vomiting. The picture.
Not seen this photo.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh, Held's like leaned over the trash can, and you can see like spaghetti like strings coming out of his mouth because I can't even remember what the set was. It was like 50s 200 pace, and they both went like 20, or maybe it was 100 pace, and I think Caleb went like 22.7 or something on the first one.
On the first one.
Yeah, we were going like way too fast. I don't know what it was.
That's awesome.
But it was so like, I mean, just hanging out. I remember my protein opened so if I take any kind of supplement to a meet now, I duct tape the lid onto the main part.
Uh-huh.
And I remember my protein opened up in my bag of all the new clothes that I just got. And so I think, Caleb has a video of me dumping out all my clothes, my like Olympic uniform stuff, into the shower, and just like chocolate protein powder is in my bag.
That's terrible.
A lot of good memories like that, though.
Yeah. Uh, so compare that to, uh, again, your international career, it seems like has had also a very linear, kind of progression, compare that to 2019 worlds where you're swimming individual races. Did you swim the 100 and 200 free? Is that right?
No, just 100.
Okay, so you swim the
Yeah.
100 individually. You're on a lot more relays. You're not just doing one prelim swim and calling it a meet. How is that?
It's
What has
it's
that
a
experience been like?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to compare international meets to each other. Where you can compare NCs to, 17 NCs to 18 NCs. That's like it's
Okay.
a lot easier to do that, but to compare like um 19 Guangzhou to 18 Tokyo, like it's just they're so different. Like with the time change, the
Interesting.
all
Yeah.
this setup that we have. I mean, the beds that we were sleeping on in Korea were really rough. We had like one pillow that was like paper thin, and so there's
Okay.
like so many variables um at some international competition that can be different.
Hmm.
But I was lucky enough to, I think I got fourth in the 100 free by like a tenth. I think I missed third by like a tenth or so. So I was happy with that. But yeah, like I said, like my 2018 Pan Pac meet was like pretty bad. I think the only time, like good time that I went was the 50 free. The time change, I think, really wrecked us hard there. So
Hmm.
it wouldn't be super fair to say that, I had a linear progression from one to the other to the other, but my times have been getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that it's really hard to compare international meet to international meet. But when you break it down like that, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Oh, and especially to like domestic meets, like Irvine to Pan Pacs. Like it's so much easier in the US. When
Yeah.
like I'm staying in a nice hotel, I only have to be at the pool for like 1 hour and like do my swim. And I have like two swims that I have to focus on. And like I don't have 30 meetings that I have to go through throughout a course of a week or something like that.
So I guess for example, like a final session in Guangzhou, how long does that take? Like how many hours are you actually at the pool for? If you have, a race or two.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not actually sure. It feels like a long time. It depends if you have, I mean, Caleb, oh my gosh, Caleb has been, I mean, prelims, semis, and like worlds
Yeah,
in particular with semifinals of 50s
right.
also. The meet just feels like forever. I mean, I don't know how many sessions it was, but it's like 8 days. Yeah, I think it's 8 or 9 days and something like
Right.
that. And like, yeah, you get to the pool like 2 hours before you swim. You like before you're scheduled to go into the ready room, and then you warm up and stretch, and then you get in and swim, and you get massage or like whatever, and then you go to the first ready room, and then you go to the second ready room, and then you swim,
God.
and then you swim out until your lactate comes down. And then if you don't have another race, you can get a massage and get back on the bus, or wait for the rest of the team. And if you have another swim, then you swim again, and it can take forever. And it is mentally draining. It's physically draining, but the physical part's honestly not that bad. Um, well, hasn't been for me. I haven't swam as much as Caleb has, but the mental part is tough, very tough,
Yeah,
especially in the living conditions. I mean, they're not like horrible by any means, but they're just not like what we're used to.
sure. I mean, I would imagine even if it's like, pretty nice living conditions, it's just not like you said, not what you're used to.
Yeah, I mean, in 2016, like the food was fine and all that, but like we slept on cots, and like we had six people to like a suite, and it was hot, and I remember sleeping on this cot that was like this big, and I was like, oh my god. But like I don't know, you don't really remember that stuff like afterwards. You remember like I don't know. Honestly, one of the biggest things I remember from 2016 Olympics is held crying on the podium. That was like one of my favorite like moments.
I think that's one of everyone's favorite
Yeah,
moments.
yeah. I would Michael laughing at him. Yeah, that
uh,
was great.
so, um, so let's talk about your 129. You get to the 2018 NCAAs in Minnesota. Tell me about coming in. I mean, was that very set in your mind that like you were going to do that?
Yeah, probably for the first time ever in my career, I dedicated a whole year since my junior year when I went 130.8. After that, I was like, okay, I am dedicating this whole year to going under 130. And I wanted to go like 129.8 or something like that. So that's almost like the only thing I thought about for a full year of training. And it was when I talked earlier about how there was like data points along the way showing me that I was better than I was my previous year. This was like that, but even more. Like I was crushing some of my times. Like I think I went 42.9 and 100 free in a dual meet in the middle of the season, and 133.8, like both in a brief. And like those were faster than any of my like in season times before. And then I went to Big Tens and went 131.1 unshaved and like a week of rest. And so I was like, oh, okay, I have like the most confidence here. So it wasn't really like, oh, I hope I can break 130. It was just like, it was more of like anticipations. Like I'm really ready for this.
Yeah. And I mean, what a way to go out as a senior. You break that. Was that the first year you guys won the 4 medley relay also?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we only won it 2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it went 301.
18, 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, were you satisfied with that NCAAs having met that goal in particular? And then, what you were able to accomplish as a team as well?
Yeah. So yes and no. That's a perfect example of one of the things that I think I am really bad at. People always say, they focus on, you're so good at like the 2 free, or like turning your races around. So when you have a bad one, like you said at trials, like you had a bad race, but you turned it around. And like, honestly, that was like kind of easy for me. But the thing that I'm recognizing that is hard for me is when I have a good swim. Like when I go 129 on the first night of NCAAs and not just feeling super complacent in my mindset, I'll be like, well, I did what I wanted to do. Like, what am I still doing here? It's like, yeah. It's really tough for me. And it's a really bad habit for me to be in that mindset. And the rest of the meet honestly wasn't great. Like I think my 100 free was one of my worst swims. The 50 was like, whatever. But even some of the relays, I feel like, it's hard for me to get out of the mindset of it's hard for me to bring myself back down from such a high. I'll give you another example. 2018, in short course worlds, it was me, Chadwick, Held, and Caleb. We broke the 400 free world record short course. 400 free relay.
First day, right?
First day. And that was like my first world record. And it was like with my 3 best friends. And I was so like hyped. I was just on cloud 9 and I couldn't sleep at all that night. And I had the 200 free the next day. And I was like, yeah, I want to do well in the 2 free, but like, I just set a world record. Like I'm done. I don't say this to myself, but it's like thoughts that are coming in.
Yeah.
And then in prelims, so I like almost couldn't sleep that night because I was so, ecstatic about that relay that we did. And I swim the prelim, dead tired, and get 8th, like barely. I think Chad got 9th. I'm not positive, but like I definitely should not have gotten 8th. And that was like a huge thing that finally got me out of, we have like 7 days left. What are you doing? Why are you in this kind of mindset? So I was able to like take a really good nap and turn it around. And like, I ended up winning that from lane 8 at night.
I think that's again, that's really important to hear. And also, I mean, I think that just speaks to how emotional these meet situations can get, where it's like you're just on such a big high and then you realize, oh, I don't really know how to handle this or how to like level myself off.
Yeah, it's hard. And the thing is, it's different for everyone. And I would say most people think that the hard part is, oh, you had a bad swim. what are you going to do now to have a good swim? And for me, at least, just for me, that's not that hard because I'm like mad at myself. I'm like not going to waste this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But what's hard for me is when I have a good swim and I have 5, 6, 7 days left in a meet to be like, okay, that was the first day. It's a good swim. And I'm still not good at it. Honestly, Caleb is the master at that. I mean, I've seen him come back into the room after, his triples and worlds. And he's like, it was good. Whatever. I'm going to go to bed. And I'm like, you just broke like 2 world records. You want to stay up and talk about it? And he's like, I go to bed. And I was like, geez, just maintaining a level head at these meets is challenging, at least for me.
Yeah. And again, that kind of contextualizes what he's been able to accomplish, certainly what you've been able to accomplish to be able to turn around and have that bad prelim swim and be able to bring yourself down and then win a world title.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the experience and then recognizing it is, super helpful moving forward.
Yeah. So let's bring it to the here and now. You are still in Bloomington. You're about to leave for Budapest with the Toronto Titans, your new ISL team. Tell me about how you've been prepping for the ISL and what you're looking forward to with that.
Yeah. So this year's, obviously, this year is messed up. So this year's probably a little different. There was a 10-week span where I didn't get in the water in March, or what was it? Yeah. End of March, 10 weeks after that. So this year was a little different, just getting back in the pool. Did a lot more dry land, and we did a stint of time where we did only long course training. And then we, during the summer, and then we moved in with the college team, and we've been doing all yards now. And I think it's going really well. Haven't had a ton of opportunities to see what I would go off the blocks. We did that one Wednesday that you guys actually put out where I did a 2 free and some other stuff. But I went like 132 or something. And that was actually kind of surprising because it didn't feel like 132. It felt much slower than that. So I was happy with that. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And it's going to be a big adjustment to get back to just racing in general. And and the ISL is like totally different because like, I don't think it's fair to necessarily look at like the straight times because the setup of the ISL is not really built for like best times. It's possible, but like it's more about the team. It's more about scoring points. When you have so many events in a 2-hour window, it's really hard to do best time, or, or whatever. So it's more about, one meet to the next and scoring points for your team so that your team can move forward. That's one of the coolest things about the ISL, I think, is the team aspect.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the race Wednesday for just a sec. You mentioned, you've mentioned multiple times, the data points. Am I where I was last year? And obviously this, like you said, this year's totally messed up. So, you see that 132.8, I think it was 200 free going into that race day. How are you feeling about where you were at in the water?
I was like, physically, I was feeling fine, like average, I would say, like nothing amazing, nothing like, and I wasn't like horribly beaten down or like dead and like something like crap. But if they were like, oh, are you ready for this race? And I always be like, yeah, whatever. But if you were to ask me, I had to give myself like an estimation of the time that I would go. I probably would have told you like, I don't know, like 133.9 or like 134.0, something like that. So I was pretty surprised by that 2 free.
Also, I think Cody on one of his vlogs mentioned there was an incentive for that race. If you went 132, something was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, you guys should get when this happens, you guys should like come out and film it because it's gonna be fun. So I was talking to John Long and I was like, put a little pressure on me for this 2 free because I think it would help. I don't really 2 frees hurt, and like I'm swimming by myself in practice. I don't really want to hurt myself. It's like hard to like make yourself go 100% in something. So I was like, let's put like some kind of wager, and we like toss around a different couple different wagers. We're like, maybe like $100 or something like that. We're like, no. And then we went back and forth on a couple things, and it ended up being if I went 133.2 or faster, then him and Corey Chitwood have to race a 200 freestyle. and I'm excited to see it. And John actually cut his hand open, so they're not going to be able to do it until we get back from ISL. But we'll make sure to send that to you guys. It's gonna be fun. I mean, Corey's super in shape. I don't know if John's in shape, but Corey's multiple time NCAA champion. You know, I'm curious to see what they go. They both still swim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether you swim or not, I feel like there's some people who just are always going to have it. Like we talked to Clark Burkle the other day, and that dude like threw down a 5,300 breaststroke after like playing golf all day at age 30, you know.
Dang.
It's
and
like
breaststroke's one that like you have to be like careful. I would feel like you would want to do some breaststroke warm up with your joints and your knees and stuff. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, but the point being, some people just have it. I feel like Corey would be one of those guys who could probably just pop off something pretty good.
No, I feel like he could too. So that's why I'm excited to see what they go.
That's gonna be awesome.
I think they both like swim masters. Like before it was stopped, I think they were both like swimming masters stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll be sure to get that.
I think that should be late November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right after the finale.
Yeah.
So to wrap up our conversation, I've never gotten to talk to you about coffee, I don't think, but you're a big fan of espresso. Tell me about Bloomington. First of all, I travel all over the country. Bloomington has some of my favorite coffee, Hopscotch, right?
Yep.
That's the place. They have great coffee. Tell me about, I know you're really into espresso. How'd you get into it?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know how I got into it. I honestly like hated coffee in high school. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like something just kind of palate kind of changed over time. And yeah, I love it now. It's like an absolute necessity. I have, a dual boiler espresso machine in my house, and I use it twice a day, every day, before morning practice and before afternoon practice. And I just love it. Hopscotch is awesome. And Need More Coffee is another local coffee shop. It's great.
So do you branch out? Do you make lattes? Do you do black coffee, or are you pretty strictly espresso?
I don't usually drink just straight espresso. It's usually cappuccino, flat white.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you make all these yourself?
Yeah. I'm not good at like latte art or anything. I'm such a bad artist. And it's like, it's like latte art, you just like jiggle the jug around or whatever, but it's like, it's pretty hard. I'm pretty bad at it. There have been a few times where I've like been able to get some kind of like flower or like, design in the espresso crema, but it's kind of tough. Still coming along.
What have you, in your travels as a swimmer, do you have favorite coffee shops in certain cities, or, what do you do when you don't have your own coffee to turn to?
Yeah, I hurt. Honestly, Budapest has really good coffee. Do you know who David Vrazzo? I think that's how you say his last name. He actually owns a coffee shop in Budapest. And I've been there. I think I've been there once. Let's see. Croatia had really good coffee. We were there before Worlds in 2017. Okay. Really, really good coffee. Japan, I don't remember. It couldn't have been good. But yeah, it's a necessity for me, especially before I race.
Gotcha. Has there been a race recently when you didn't have coffee?
Not that I can think of, honestly. I have it before every practice.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So it's become a part of you now.
Yeah. Someone's saying addiction. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Blake, do you last question, just to wrap things up, heading into Budapest and ISL with this new Toronto Titans team, do you have any specific goals that either for you personally or for your team heading into this season?
For me personally, it would just be to like gauge where I'm at in terms of fitness overall. How am I at racing? I'm guessing that I will get better as we do more races, just because I'm not, on top of, kind of racing over and over again and like just getting used to that. But kind of just seeing where I'm at and trying to honestly just make money and score points for my team, because the Olympics being postponed and everything being canceled is not good for professional swimmers, monetarily. So other than that, nothing really. Like I said, it's pretty hard to, I want to go best time here, especially this year when I took 10 weeks off. That's the longest time I've taken off in swimming ever.
Yeah.
Since I was like 8 years old. So we'll see.
Speaking of professional, I lied. We're not done yet.
That's fine, dude. I love talking about swimming. I talk about it forever.
Mizuno. You were, this Mizuno suit came out and everyone kind of freaked out about it. Like the Texas team had it, and then Caleb wore it in 17, and everyone's like, oh my God, this suit's crazy. And then you were the first, at least American guy, to get a sponsorship with Mizuno. And yeah, that was super cool, because it's like, oh, like this is legit. Like they're sponsoring people now. Tell me about how that all came to be for you.
Yeah. So, it was a little bit of like kind of right place, right time. And like, I just love their suit. So I kind of like zoned in on them a bit more, just because mentally it was hard for me. I like their suits so much more than any of the other suits that it was hard for me to justify wearing another suit, even for, a certain amount of money. So I was almost in the mindset, I was like, I don't care how much money they give me or not. I want to wear their suits just because I liked it so much more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was, I remember the GX Sonic 3 is when everyone was like, dude, this thing literally kicks for me. It's like, I can't swim to the bottom because my suit is like holding me up. But yeah, it's been great. I've loved Mizuno ever since.
For anyone who has never worn a tech suit, who hasn't ever worn a Mizuno, what makes it stand out? Why did you love this suit to the point where you were like, I will take less money to be with Mizuno?
So the first time I wore it, I believe, was 2016 Short Course Worlds in Windsor, Canada. And I swam really well. And the thing that I noticed is, if you put a Mizuno on right away, the thing that you'll notice is the strap that's right above your knee isn't absurdly tight like every other suit is. Like every other suit will crank down really hard on your knee there. But Mizuno, it's just snug. It's just, and I like that. I was like, I don't need to be losing like blood out of my calves or something crazy. It's just, it's fine, And so I really like that. And then the buoyancy, it's just like, you just have to dive in with it, and it feels so much more buoyant. I don't know exactly what it is in terms of like the suit material or anything like that, but it just feels so much more buoyant than any other suits that I've tried. I mean, honestly, yeah, it's just those two things I would say. And it's hard to say, oh, I like it because of this. You try them all and then see the difference, or try as many as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that, all the suit companies have variants now in between, like, this is for sprint, this is for multi. They didn't used to have that, years ago. And there's a suit for everyone out there.
Yeah. If you today were to tell your younger self, like, oh, I'm going to be a professional athlete now, sponsored by Mizuno, how do you think your younger self would react to that?
Like what age am I telling myself this at?
Let's say 8.
At 8. I had no idea. I would have been like, cool, dude. I'm going to go play soccer or something. I have no idea.
And I
don't even know what I was doing at
like,
8.
No, get in the pool.
Yeah, actually, at 8, I don't know. I remember I think I was 12 when I watched Michael in 2008. And that was like the first time where I remember like sitting, I had to be 12, 13 maybe. But I was like sitting on my like living room carpet, and I was watching Michael do all of his races and, winning the 100 fly by 100th. And that was like, holy crap, I love swimming. That was like, that was huge for me, at that time.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I think I certainly remember watching those races as well. And yeah, I mean, what an inspiration and what a thing to be able to say, oh yeah, I watched this and now you've been his teammate.
Yeah. It was like making the Olympic team was a dream come true, and like being able to swim in the Olympics and all that. But like just being on that team with all of those people was just like another dream come true. I mean, Michael, yes, but like everyone else too, like all of my friends, like Caleb and Ryan and everyone. It was just such a good experience.
Yeah. When was the first time you started to really make friends in the sport like that? Like what, Caleb, Ryan, Chadwick, like when did you start to meet those guys at meets?
Probably on the junior team. That was the
Okay.
first time. Yeah, because I was on the junior team for 2 years. And actually, funny story. We went to Junior Pan Packs in 2018, and that 800 free relay that we did at Junior Pan Packs had 3 of the same 4 guys that were on that 8 free relay last year at Worlds, where we got third. It was me, Selly, and Townley. We
Oh,
were
wow.
on that Junior Pan Pack 8 free relay, and we swapped Apple out, and he was the last one. Yeah. And that was, I mean, that's like so cool to me. It's like 4 years later, we're doing like the same thing, or not 4 years. Wait, what year did I say? Did I say 2018? I meant 2014.
24. Okay.
It had to be 2014, right? Yeah.
Do you remember where it was?
Yeah, Maui, Hawaii.
Okay,
No, that
Maui,
was 13.
okay.
Yeah. That was my first trip. Yeah, that was my first trip. Dubai Junior Worlds. Yeah. Gunnar, Caleb, they were both on that. That was so long ago. I honestly can't remember a whole lot more than that. But yeah, I mean, being on relays with them, that the junior team's definitely where you start, meeting, Team USA members, Team USA members that you'll go on to national team meets and go on to Olympic meets and world championships and now ISL and World Cups and whatever. And it's just fun because like you haven't seen them in however many months, and regrouping, say what's up, and like hang out, just have a good time. That's what I love about it. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's a good ending point. Blake, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. It's certainly been a blast, and I hope your travel to Budapest goes well. I'm super excited to see how everything goes down there.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.